And we are live on the Pirate broadcast today. And the reason we are here is because I just enjoy interviewing interesting people doing interesting things. And one of the things that I love to do is help you discover new individuals that you can connect with in this community, bring a little goodness, bring a little kindness around, and hopefully make a new connection today. So today we have someone that I've been friends with for a number of years and had been back and forth, and we've done Zoom sessions. And he's a bicyclist, skier, a writer, travel author, and some amazing things that he's done and accomplished over the years are phenomenal. And also, he's a friend. So, David, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Russ. I'm very well, thank you. And thank you very much for having me on. It's great to chat to you like this again on Pirate Broadcast.
And today's his first Pirate broadcast or his first live stream on LinkedIn as well. So thank you for jumping in the deep end of the pool and taking part in this.
Not at all. I've been really excited about it, and it's a great opportunity. So thank you. Looking forward to it.
So I want to highlight the fact that I saw your video skiing, and I was just in France, skiing in France. I just like that sounds so exotic, and it's so fun. I just love the opportunity to ski vicariously through your stories because it's so wonderful that you can take videos like that, hang out, and go do that as an adventure. Because I know not everything is simple or easy in your life, and you've had challenges throughout, and I want you to share with us a little bit, if you can. What are you working on now, and what is your project that you're working on and you're passionate about today, David?
At the moment, I'm really enjoying my social media, and I put videos up here on LinkedIn most days at the moment, and I've no idea where that's going or to what end I might be doing that, but at the moment that doesn't matter to me because I just really enjoy making contact with people. I've made some fantastic connections over the years that I've been on LinkedIn, and I've been the whole platform just such an opportunity to get your message out there to whatever audience happens to be there. And so I'm working hard on my social media, and also I finished writing a book just at the tail end of last year, and it's a book that is a book of two halves. Okay, the first half is more or less my life story, and then the second half, goes into my adventures and some travel that I've done in recent times. So my goal for this year is to get it out there, to get it published in some way. I don't know if that'll be by self-publishing or whatever it means, but that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Well, that's a huge and noble goal, because having the opportunity to write your story and share some of the things that you've done, and some of the challenges and how you've you've got past the obstacles and the challenges in your life, and then doing what you're doing now. And I love your content. Creating content is one of those things that you don't know where, you have an intention, but you don't necessarily know where it's going to end up.
No.
And so creating content out there to start making connections, start building relationships, and building that bridge to something different than you hadn't imagined before is pretty phenomenal. So in the book, the first half, you said you're going to talk about your life and in some of the adventures, and then the second half is more about the adventures and some of the things you're doing. And I know that you're a travel author and you've been published in different publications and things like that. So, one of the things that we had talked about previously is, going out and getting sponsors and traveling to different locations and having you write stories for different publications. Is that something you're still doing and working on?
Yeah, that's something that's starting to a little bit, and I'm very lucky. I've got a couple. I got a couple of ski companies that I do a bit of work for, and they sent me to they've sent me to France and Austria, which is a pretty nice gig to get, and so there's nothing not to like about that. So
That doesn't sound horrible.
yeah, yeah. I can. I got broad shoulders. I can bear that. And but to be honest, the writing bit of my work is kind of tailing off a wee bit. There's less of that than there was a few years ago, but it's still in the background, and but it all adds to my story, and it all adds to me as an individual, and I can use that and social media and such like. So yeah, it's good.
As a storyteller, and we could go deep into this one, David, as a storyteller, experience is content, right? And so whether it's good experience or bad experience, it's one of those things that you have an opportunity to, kind of share how you're feeling about it, share how you're, what is happening in the moment. Because I remember, I don't know, maybe it was a week ago or so, after the holidays and everything else, it's kind of, the holidays for me is not really, I don't know, it's not festive, and it's one of those challenging moments, where it's just kind of exhausting at times. And I know that we talked about that a little bit, and so that, even though that experience may not be what we would consider a happy experience or, a festive experience, it's still a story, and it's still, we talk about our emotions, we talk about how we're feeling about things, and we're talking about how that impacts our lives because, there's so much of this noise on social media that, everybody's looking at their A game, they're looking at all of the things, the best and the best of everything they're doing. And we're not really talking about the challenges and the obstacles and the things that we have to overcome every day. And I love the fact that you mentioned that and you talked about it and you brought it to the forefront. And to me, that's great storytelling. And that's what really impacts the community in a positive way, is realizing that we're not perfect. We're not immune to emotions. We're not, we're just humans. We tan under the same sun and we breathe the same air, right?
Yeah.
So this month, January 2020, starting off, what intentions are you setting for the year, and what do you see forward that we can share with the community for David?
I think it's just to take people along with me on my story, wherever that be, because you mentioned that video that I put up on the 2nd of January, it felt like a bit of a risk to that, because when you show vulnerability or weakness, it's like you open yourself up to being vulnerable, but there's been some really fantastic reactions to that, and it's really amazing how we become the story, I don't mind telling you that before I really got into LinkedIn, I hadn't even heard of content. I hadn't really cared of content creation. I hadn't, so in some ways it's a relatively new thing, but eventually I realized that the story is you, and you don't have to do anything or be anything or there's nothing you need to get or acquire to become the story, because it's already there, and and from that you can make so much content, and people like to come on the journey with you, and they like to sort of buy into a part of you, and they want to see the whole you, all of you, and that includes the vulnerability and the difficult bits as well. So I suppose my goal for this year, and for this, because I don't feel like I have a massive plan ahead of me, but I think if anything, I'm just saying that is to kind of go on being the story and to share that and to take people with me wherever that goes.
I love that. I love that. I love the fact that you're being vulnerable with the story and the fact that you are the story. And that rings true. And if you think about that, it's just being is okay. Just be me. I tried to be someone else and it didn't work out. Every time I try to be someone else, it doesn't work out. And so let's just be us. Let's be who we are and have us be the story, because we are the story. We are good enough. And being vulnerable, I think, is the key, because a lot of people are not comfortable being vulnerable, David. It's really hard for people to be vulnerable. They have to put on a mask and a certain persona in order to be in public. And I think, maybe you've discovered this along the way. Maybe you learned it, and maybe you saw something when you started practicing. I don't know where vulnerability came from. I don't know how it evolves. I don't know. Everybody's different, right? So how did you come across this notion that being vulnerable and being yourself and just being the story was something that worked for you? Is that something you discovered, and you just said, hey, I'm going to just be me and that's okay, I'll be the story? Or was it a kind of an evolving thought that evolved over time?
Well, I think it happens quite, not too long after that I started to engage with the community on LinkedIn. I think I had an account on LinkedIn, but I hadn't done anything much on it for a while, and I think it was a few years ago, probably by the time that I first got in contact with yourself, that I noticed other people making video, and I can't remember what happened, but one day I just put up a little video. I can't remember what it was, but I just put up a video, say hi, I'm there, and I just could not believe the response I got, and people who saw that, and the connections that I made of that, and I suppose it was at that time I thought, hey, I've got a story as everybody has, and people want to hear that. People want to hear that story, and that was such a sort of, and enlightenment for me. And so it was about that time that I thought, I'm gonna try and just put more content up, and so I kind of grew from there. And it's just incredible,
Well, and I remember when you first started posting and how much of an impact it made on the community, because there's it's almost like you're breaking the mold, and you're putting yourself out there in a way that is completely vulnerable. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't know who's going to respond to it. You don't know who's going to react to it. So it's one of those things that I just truly love about you, and the fact that you're in this community, you're putting yourself out there on the line every day. You're creating content. And there are days, it's like where it'd be much easier just to lay in bed and, not do anything at all. And you're thinking to yourself, it's like, okay, why am I doing this? And the reason why we do this, and the reason why we communicate with each other, even if we're not in the same town, building, location, it's the connection as humans, storytelling and being able to find a thread that binds us. It's that connection and the connectivity that we can build with putting ourselves out there and being vulnerable. And I think vulnerability is something that we're going to see a lot more of in the next decade. I think a lot of people, numbers and the vanity metrics and everything that goes along with social media, I think is going to turn the corner here shortly, and we're going to see smaller, tighter communities. And I think we're already seeing it on LinkedIn. It's really, I don't know how many connections you've built over time. However, it's the depth of the connections that we build. And I want to give a shout out to some people online here, David, because I know that a lot of these people are friends of yours and mine as well. Is Nick, Dorsey, Gabriel, Vicky O'Neill, I love you. Jordan Thomas, thank you. Keep missing each other. So Shelly Lolly, yeah, lots of seats filled today. This is great. This is fantastic. Saratha. And let's see who else we got. Michael Baker, Wendy, Russ Dennis, thank you for being here. Angie, so true. People want the real vulnerability in you, not some fake person who thinks others want you to be. I love that. Thank you. Thank you, Angie. And then let's see who else has joined us. Philip. And lots of good comments here. Lots of good comments. You're gonna have to go back in and read these comments, because it's really heartwarming to find out that people care, David. People care, and when you're actually the story, when you're being the story, and you're being vulnerable, and you're putting yourself out there, that's a dangerous place for so many people. It's the opportunity that we have, to let it down and say, okay, well, how much should I share? How much is too much? I don't know the answer to that.
No.
If you have thoughts, leave them in the comments, because, I don't necessarily need to share everything. It's like how bad my flu was or anything like that.
No.
However, it's like, what did I eat for breakfast? I don't know if that's important or not, but it's who we are. It's what we do. It's the story that we're living, right?
Yeah.
And so I applaud your efforts and how you're telling your story and participating and helping us all understand that it's okay to be us, right?
Yeah. I've felt LinkedIn as obviously I'm on a few social media platforms, but in terms of contact with people and having kind of meaningful discussions with people, I think LinkedIn far outstrips any of the other platforms I'm on in that department. And I've always found it quite interesting, because I always saw, LinkedIn as a business, so working professional type person's platform, and that's not how I see him myself. I'm not formally employed or anything. I haven't been for a very long time, and but for something I just seem to have found a home on LinkedIn, this platform, and it's fine. It's working at the moment.
So you're not going to leave LinkedIn anytime soon? Is that what you're
Oh,
telling
no.
us?
You think I should?
And the other thing is the smaller communities that we have within LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like the Blue Angels. They're Jill Sullivan and Steve and Jill Brown and Ted. I was on a show with Ted last night, and some of these, we're becoming friends. The people that I've met in person and I care for, and as I go out, I was talking to I think it was Joshua out of Dallas. I'm going to be in Houston in a couple of weeks, and we're going to connect in person live. And it's just like you've already got past the coffee talk, the small talk, and you can actually encourage each other to be real and be vulnerable in person as well as being online. And I think video is really incredibly powerful. And there's not very many people doing video, and there's less people doing live streaming, much like the pirate broadcast. And I think that the thing I love about the pirate broadcast is having people like yourself come on and talk about how you've evolved the story, how you're continuing to be vulnerable, and how you're growing as an individual as a result of putting content out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the last 2 years that you've been putting out content pretty steady in a way. Your biking videos last year were phenomenal. So if anybody hasn't seen those, I don't know where are they on a website somewhere, David, or are they on YouTube, or have you got them somewhere else that you could share with us?
And they're on my YouTube channel. It's under David Ventures, and but if you can't find it, send a message. I'll send it a link. So they're all on YouTube.
Well, what we'll do is maybe after this broadcast is over, you could leave it in the notes.
Sure.
And share out the broadcast, and then that way people will have access to your content. Because I think it's important for people to set an example, because that was a very well done video. I really enjoyed the video, and I enjoyed the story and the way you put it together. And I know it's not a simple process. Video is kind of a long process. People think, well, you can turn the camera on. Yeah, you can do that. It's simple. But when you're producing a video, it's a project, so it takes a little time and effort. And then you had people there shooting video with you as well, I think.
I was about to say, it's not fair to say that I was there myself. There was a few of us, and that ride came about through my contact with a cycling organization, because they had a route called the Caledonia Way that they wanted to promote, and it was 240 miles of Britain. So I went to ride it for them, and same time there was a guy came along with all the kit and made a film, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good fun, because he had a drone, and so I said he would say stop for a minute while he put the drone up, and then I'd cycle for a while. So that was it was a really fantastic experience.
It was quite a long ride, as I recall, too.
And it was 240 miles. So what's that in kilometers? 360 or something? I don't know. So it took me 5 days. So I was really tired and really grumpy at the end of it.
We didn't see the happy David at
the end. I didn't show my vulnerable grumpiness at that time, but believe me, it was there.
I've been on some long rides, so I can appreciate that. So as we wrap this up, David, I just want to give a shout out to everybody that's been in the room: Sandas, Gabriel, Wendy, Michael, Philip, Sherry. This is why we do what we do. We make connections. We we have an opportunity to collaborate with other people. You know, storytelling is so important. And, you know, it's one of the things that, you know, I've seen a couple of people, you know, kind of slam storytelling, and it's like, you know, we've been telling stories since we were running around in caves, you know, painting things on the side of cave walls, and it's in our DNA. So when we can actually be vulnerable enough to tell our stories and put things in position and kind of leave an impact with the rest of the world, I think it's worthy of our time. And I think it's worthy of our interest in sharing these stories. And I'd love the opportunity to have you share these stories that we put out here every day on the Pirate Broadcast. And, you know, you'll like it, make comments, join in, you know, message me if you're interested in doing something along this line. And it's just so important for us to maintain communication and have a little kindness in the world. You know, I think people are, you know, if you turn on the news, nobody's going to survive this. If you get on LinkedIn and you start in the communications, we're all okay, right, David?
Yeah, as we can rise above the news and above the, you know, all this daily stuff that goes on. You know, we have no control over whatsoever. So, fine.
Yeah. Well, I think I was talking to somebody the other day, and it says like we don't have control over what happens around us, but we have control what we do with it, right?
Yeah, sure. And yeah, I found that a good one. You know, it's quite fun because all my adult life, I've sort of really taken an interest in the news and current affairs. But, you know, in the last 12 months, you know, as you know, in the UK, it's just been horrendous. And you know, it was, you know, I was getting so wound up by all the politics, the B word, Brexit, and all that. And you know, I just thought, you know, I don't need to watch this.
Just
And
kill your TV. Just kill your TV.
And it makes no difference to my existence whatsoever. You know? But at the very end, we absorb it all. And but
well, and that brings up another point, though, David. I mean, even though you don't feel like you can make a difference in the big picture of the world at the global scale, you can make a difference every day by sharing stories and impacting others around you, because we all make a difference. We all make an impact. We all have a gift and a message. And when you share it with somebody, that plants a seed with somebody else in a positive way, if you're putting out positive messages, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, train wrecks sell, news. It's like the downside is always, draws attention more than anything else. And I just want to recognize that positive messages can also make an impact. Supporting each other makes an impact. Being kind to others make an impact. And you make a difference. And I just wanted to have you on the Pirate Broadcast, share a little bit about what you're doing, what you're all about, introduce you to a few new people out there on LinkedIn, and hopefully make an impact on your connections and your communications and your conversations. So thank you so much for being here, David.
Not at all, Ross. Thank you very much for having me on. It's been great to chat about this platform, and always great to chat to you as ever. And yeah, thanks very much again. It's been great.
So if you're listening in, I'd love to have you like, comment, share all of these things. We're broadcasting on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live is our favorite place to go. And also, after the show, David, we'll bring this into a podcast where people can listen to it. It's on russjohns.com, so we can actually listen to that and enjoy it if we're traveling or wherever we're going. So you can share that out as well. I'll send you the link afterwards and drop it in the comments, and and share it in LinkedIn feed later today. So it'll be wonderful to enjoy this, and then also share your story with where people could find you in the comments when you get a chance, David. And I'd appreciate that, because go watch the video on his biking adventures, because the skiing adventures are equally fun. So it's like I enjoy those as well. So it's tons of fun. And so as always, kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And you enjoy the day.
Thank you very much, Russ.
Anytime, David. Have a wonderful week.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.